Good evening, everybody. I am Shak Maria in my fourth year, pursuing BBA LLB from Vices Law School, Hyderabad. Uh, Prior to FICCI, I have interned various firms based in Delhi as well as in Chandigarh, and I have worked in district courts, consumer courts, High Court, as well as Supreme Court. Talking about co-curriculars, I have been very fluent with my engagement in various activities in college. For example, I've taken parts in mediation competitions, moot competitions, client counseling. I have attended various capsule courses on IPR fields as well as many other legal background and legal fields. Talking about extracurricular, I am an avid reader. I paint, I write poems. I am also a part of the our college football team, and I have won a lot of tournaments in my 4 years of college. In this 4 years of college, one thing that has been consistent for me is my interest in IPR, and that is why I'm also a senior member of Center for Intellectual Property Research and Advocacy in my college. I have also written a research paper on IPR. I have attended various capsule courses on copyrights and geographical indication and traditional knowledge. The previous month, in the month of August, I finally got the opportunity to work with FICCI. So, since its establishment in 1927, even a person who is not from legal background could easily recognize FICCI because that's the amount of presence it has over our nation. Its influence in with the public sector and private sector companies, with multinational companies, and every aspect that concerns in industry really increases the involvement of each intern with anything related to the industry, and specifically the IPR division. Since I interned in the IPR division, FICCI provides you a platform to work at a grassroots level, and I have had an amazing mentor, Mr. Divyesh, and an amazing experience with even the co-interns were very helpful and were continuously engaged in learning more knowledge and having research work. Our research work was also primarily based on geographical indications the first 2 weeks of the internship, where we worked on the geographical indications in Uttar Pradesh. My co-intern and I worked on a total of 28 GIs. We not only worked on the description of the goods and the history, but we also worked on the commercial viability of each product. What is the current scenario? What is the tourism in that particular state? What are the ways in which we can raise awareness and also increase the commercial viability of those products? In the next few weeks of the internship, we had worked on various webinars where we had listened to various webinars. They were really insightful and enlightening. I also got the opportunity to moderate one of the webinars that was conducted on 29th August, and I had taken the session of question and answer round. Apart from that, we had also worked on a newsletter. In this newsletter of August 2020, we had covered the key elements and the key developments of IPR going all around the world, and this particular task helped me increase my horizons of knowledge about developments of IPR. Today, since we have been are given the task of presenting an opportunity to present one of the IPR fields that we want to and we associate with, I'm going to talk about competition and IPR. So competition law and IPR has been taken as one of the irreconcilable law regimes, but if you look at the objectives of both these laws, it has been very the aim of both these laws have been to safeguard the interests of the creators, thereby encourage them to create a healthy environment for the competition. Competition law stimulates product and process innovation through competitive pressure, while the intellectual property rights gives you the incentive for innovation and for coming up these new products. The former creates a monopoly right in the favor of the holder of such a right, while the other, or the latter, that is the competition law, restricts the monopoly and any anti-competitive agreement that could cause harm to the market. If we strike, it is difficult to strike a balance between these two regimes, but if the balance is maintained, the market flow of the competition would be really healthy for new entries as well as the existing, whether it's customers or it is the business or business holders. Thereafter, I try to examine briefly or give an overview of the these laws in UA, in US, in EU, US, as well as in India. To start with the US laws. So the US Law Society understands the free enterprise and the need to curtail any practice that results in stifling the market. So there are particular 3 acts that revolve around this. The first is the Sherman Act of 1980, the Clayton Act of 1914, and the Federal Trade Commission Act of 1940. These 3 acts are the main 3 pillars of the competition law. There are others act as well, but these 3 acts are the main acts. And there was, of course, a 9 no-nos of the guidelines of IPR that was given by the Department of Justice. But this is not what I'm going to talk about in today's presentation. I would talk about the overview. So the Sherman Act, Clayton Act, and the FTC aid each other and synchronize to cover all these aspects of anti-competitive agreements that could cause nuisance in the market. For example, the Sherman Act basically covers all the agreements that are contracts or combinations or conspiracy that restrain trade, while Clayton Act covers the unfair methods of competition or unfair deceptive acts or practices. And while FTC, or the Federal Trade Commission Act, and the Robin-Paxman Act of 1936 together cover all those agreements that are not covered or explicitly defined in the Sherman and the Clayton Act. There are various agreements that have been clearly defined that constitute to be anti-competitive. Now, where does the IPR and the Competition Act have a tug of war will be discussed in further few minutes. After this, I move on to EU regulations, or the European Union. So the European Economic Community, or the EEC, is a member state of EU and was established after the Rome Treaty, and it is fundamentally applied for more competition in market. So the term competition has explained in the EU, or has been interpreted in EU, has been regarded as the method of holding down the expenses and costs, and furthermore to give or to have greater quality items in the market which invigorate innovation and technical improvements. So the treaty administers issues relating to competition law and IPRs throughout EU by the Articles of 81 and Article 82. These two are the most important articles of the European Economic Community. So the Article 81 and 82 was subsequently substituted by Articles 101 and 102 respectively. We could also strike a similarity between 102 and this Section 7 of the Sherman Act. These two acts have a similarity in the Article 102. The two arrangements are needed to forbid the unilateral conduct which impacts the certain market and has the ability to hinder trade and trade-related activities. The primary focus of the competition policies in this very treaty is to assimilate the markets of the member states which is done by utilizing competition, merger legislations, and monopolies to prevent enterprises in indulging in practices which are anti-competitive in nature. Now we move forward to the Indian scenario of these. The IPRs are concerned with creating monetary rights, as we all know, and there are various IPR legislations also in the country regarding the same. The first step towards competition was the MRTP Act, but since the MRTP Act had a lot of loopholes, the Competition Act of 2002 came into being. The Competition Act of 2002 concerns with AAEC, which is the appreciable adverse effect on the competition, and the main three sections of the Competition Act that covers all these practices: Section 3, Section 4, as well as Section 5. These, and Section 3 subclause 5 subclause 1 talks about the exceptions that do not come under the anti-competitive practices that relates to the IPR. For example, patents, copyrights, trademarks, Design Act, and Semiconductor Integrated Circuits Layout Design Act also. All the cases that relate to competition are under the CCI, which is the Competition Commission of Act, and Competition Commission of India, and both the jurisprudence of the Indian courts as well as the courts, as the court indicates the fact that the matter relating to the IPR are not exempted from falling within the jurisdictions of CCI as well. So now we're going to strike some balance between these three legislation. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the exclusive licensing. Exclusive licensing is when the persons get an exclusive license of the product, and they do not have the selling or signing rights, and because of this they get an exclusive right over that product. And if that exclusive licenses is going, now the Competition Act comes in, where they're going to ascertain whether this exclusive licensing is going to create an dominance over the market. Then the second part is the tying agreements. Tying agreements is a term which means where the different products are tied together, are bundled, not bundled, are tied together, and given as one commodity. For example, the recent case of WhatsApp, where the WhatsApp payment app, where a petitioner argued that the WhatsApp Payment Act was tied together with WhatsApp Messenger app together, and it is an anti-competitive agreement. So tying agreements can also happen in licensing, where two licenses are bundled, two products are bundled together to get a license from IPR for that same product, and then a monopoly is created over the similar products. The third thing is the patent pooling and mergers. Patent pooling and mergers is where the dealers conspire together to have a they conspire together to have a collision of patents together or collectively to a third person or between each other. And this can also include mergers, where both the companies or the entities come into a merger, exchanging their patents to create a monopoly in the market. So these are the three main IPR related and competition interface that happens. If we compare the three legislations, the EU, US, and India, we can strike a balance with the EU as well as India, because European Union has a very strict base over the competitive agreements, as seen with the US. The US has a higher or a thicker membrane to penetrate when it comes to IPR related violations, while EU is more stringent on its competition laws, and that is why the EU and Indian scenario is quite similar. However, both the US and EU have guidelines about IPR related agreements and competition, and India does not have so there is a need for India to buckle up their enforcement rights when it comes to IPR protection. Also, we can say that they have rigorous provisions at place when it comes to abuse of dominance in the market, exceedingly felt by the courts and interpreted by judicial eminent personalities. Um, the work of CCI is commendable, but the protection of IPR, as I had explained again, is not up to the mark. If we strike a comparison of the EU regimes with antitrust laws, there isn't much balance between the EU and the US legislation. That is why there has been a different opinion of the judicial personalities of both these countries. Given the judicial reach and the potential risk as well as the higher cost, we could expect the IPR owner in the European Union to steer away from action that could possibly expose them from any antitrust laws, because the antitrust laws damages of the EU are very high. Various facets of antitrust laws have assisted to understand the market dominance and calculation of market power, whereas to simply ascertain the effect of the market power by a body of special treatment is enough merit to thoroughly comprehend the intellectual property rights law and its compatibility with the antitrust laws. And we could also see that in a way we could say that the sincerity of the courts while implementing the laws in India is not very stringent, and the zeal to work in an accurate manner also reduces if the enforcement of the laws are not with the power of the objected of the statute. So this was a brief overview of the competition law and IPR, or a comparative study with EU, US as well as India. And I hope this this presentation has helped in understanding my development in knowledge about competition law and IPR. In the end, I would like to say I had a great experience with FICCI. This was my first virtual internship, and I had learned a lot more than I had expected. And the extensive research work I might not get to work in any other firm or any other legal internship. And I would thank my my mentor, Mr. Divyesh, and my co-interns for working with me. It was great. Thank you.